he thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel, and everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts
He
sort of
looks-
strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah.
Yeah.
He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, Pallen. Tier. Palantir is Peter Thiel's company, and look out.
Palantir, Palantier?
Yes,
How you write Thiel? Thiellly?
Thiel.
Lly.
No, Thiell.
Okay.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week.
Huh.
So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you.
Okay.
He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, they pay Larry $1 million a year just to advise them.
Andreas and
Andreessen, Andreessen, and Horowitz.
Howard.
Horo, Horowitz.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are doing?
They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon Valley.
What, bigger than Sequoia or Kleiner
These
Perkins?
are the new Kleiner Perkins. Everybody, these are the smart boys. So those two companies right away, in terms of, I said that we need now, in the next 3 weeks, if you're going to leave,
open up with that tonight. It's a lot of what we're going to be covering this evening on the show. I'm going to have trouble because I have so many tabs up, and I'm only just touching the surface of what I want to cover tonight. But got a lot of documentation, video, audio. I figured we'd open up with that one, and that is Jeffrey Epstein, who we're going to be talking about tonight. The first time I'm covering this, but I've been interested in this for many years. And it's really coming ahead with all these new disclosures and what's going on in Congress and Hillary Clinton speaking out today. So I figured I'd cover this, and I'm inspired by Brian from LTL. So let's make sure we give him a big shout out today, because watching him do his coverage, I was like, I can do this. This is something I can do. And I'm going to actually use some of his video if it's all right with him tonight. But I'm posting his YouTube in the chat. He just passed me for subs. Congratulations to Brian. LTL, you beat Mike Crawford. You beat the Young Jerks. You just passed us in subs. Congratulations. I want to see you get more. Go way by us. I want to try to keep up with you. So make sure you subscribe to him tonight if you haven't already. And make sure you sub to us if you haven't. I want to see our numbers start going up again. His numbers are going up. The subs are going up. The views are going up. His coverage is amazing. It's great. Yeah, he's been killing it. Yeah, he's been going through the files. And the thing about the files, too, is the Justice Department is, first of all, the FBI put out some files a few months ago. I'm going to go through some of those. The new Justice Department files, though, they're released over the last 3, 4, 5 days ago. Brian seems like he downloaded them all. He seems like he's got them all. I don't know. He's gone through different data sets. You can't even get them now. The Justice Department has shut it down. They have a searchable database, which is not really conducive for what we do. You get one document at a time. And a lot of the reason why they took it down is because the victims, the surviving victims and their families have complained that a lot of the information hasn't actually been redacted, that they've shown people's faces, they've shown minors even nude, things like that. So they've taken a lot of the documents down. It's a lot harder to get the docs now. I thought I had a way to get some more today, and I downloaded, but they seem funky. I'm gonna have to work on getting what Brian's got, which is all those data sets if I can. But I have a lot of other information too today. So there's plenty. I mean, we could be here all night, all for probably the next year, covering how many documents have been shared and how many news stories and So there's plenty to go around. But Brian's got like the real good stuff. So make sure you subscribe to Brian over at LTL Media. All right. So this is the Prime Minister of Israel on a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein. And this is what we're covering tonight. I think people know who Epstein is. I don't have to explain too much. But the question is, who is this guy working for? This is obviously a honeypot, extortion scheme, influence peddling. And this is where, I just want to say, like, I am not anti Semitic. I love Jewish people. I love Jewish food. I love Jewish family traditions. Like, I almost wish I could be a Jew, honestly. I love the Jewish people. So I never want any anti Semitism or any of that. If anyone even does any of that in the chat, you're gone, honestly. But Jeffrey Epstein definitely does lead back to the state of Israel. And there's a lot of people pointing fingers at Russia, too. And I'm going to say it right now that Mossad, which I believe Jeffrey Epstein is either an asset officially or unofficially, was an asset of, and all intelligence agencies, they all work together. They do favors for each other. It's a big club. And I think that Jeffrey Epstein also did do things for Russia. Like, I think he probably did some things for the CIA in America as well. And that's why a lot of these guys, like him, criminals, will get a pass by all these different countries because they're actually doing things for everybody. But I think what you're going to see is that Jeffrey Epstein was with the Mossad, number one. Number one. And this is the Prime Minister of Israel, a really right-wing guy in Israel, the Prime Minister. And Jeffrey Epstein is telling him the future, like, because these influence blackmail intelligence agencies have been doing these honeypot operations for years. But the new thing is technology. And if you own the technology, if you own the surveillance state, you almost don't need to do these honeypot operations, right? And he's pointing out who to actually talk to, because this is what Jeffrey Epstein was about. He was about science and technology. He was a complete spy and asset. Not only was he blackmailing, he was pointing to the future and saying, you're not going to need a guy like me anymore. You go to Palantir. And if people know anything about Palantir, they've been surveilling people for a long time now, used by police departments all over the world. When you get pulled over now, often the police departments will pull up Palantir software that you don't even know about, that they will never disclose. And they're able to look at your financial records, how much money you have in the bank, where you've traveled to recently with all the cameras. They are surveilling people. And there's a guy named Peter Thiel that he talks about to the Prime Minister of Israel. And this is more of the same. This is exactly where this is headed. And you could see these billionaires like Peter Thiel, Jeffrey Epstein. They're all working together. Donald Trump, another one, with Bill Clinton. And that's why I put all three of their names up. I put all three of their pictures up tonight. This is not political. This is just real world stuff tonight. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, Independent, Green Party. If there's trash around you, we're going to talk about it. So tonight we're gonna look into Jeffrey Epstein a little more. Gonna look at some of the documentation that ties him to Peter Thiel, that ties him to Israel, that ties him to the company Palantir, and Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. Yeah, and the data centers in Northern Virginia. Mia Bito. Yeah. You know, I'm starting to use a little AI for some of our reels and things like that. We're starting to get into that. We just got like a 500,000 views on one of our reels on Facebook, like in the last 24 hours. And that was AI generated. People think that that's what AI is really about, is creative. And there is some of that. AI, I believe, is twofold. Number one, it's going to replace a lot of the white collar workers. Just like outsourcing replaced a lot of the blue collar workers. The manufacturing, now they're going to go for your creative, your professional, your accounting, your attorneys. They're going to go for all the white collar jobs with this AI. That's number one. And number two, it's going to be used, the best thing it's used for is surveillance, gathering large data sets and bringing them all together. This is what AI is going to be used for, surveillance. The surveillance they're using it in China against their own citizens. The police departments are starting to do this with Palantir, a private corporation that you can buy on Wall Street. Yesterday, when this news came out, Palantir has been like a high flyer. I actually own some of the stock, and I've been selling it off because it's way overvalued. I believe but it could go way bigger because of how much surveillance they want to do. It's a question of how far will we let them get away with it. And I've been selling the hell out of it because I bought it when it was way down, and I want to get rid of it because I don't like the company, and I feel dirty owning it. And I made a killing on it, so I might as well just sell it and get rid of it. But yesterday, it's funny because I sold it right in the morning, and then all of a sudden, it's like it caught up to them. People just woke up and said, "Oh my God, this is the company that is doing all this horrible stuff with Epstein," and the stock dropped off like 10%. And I want to check it today, but that was yesterday. It crashed, and I had sold it in the morning, like right before it crashed. But Jesus, this company Palantir, we're going to talk about Palantir tonight. I'm going to share this one. This is a story from Council a state media. It says, no, Epstein was not a Russian spy. He was an Israeli one. It's interesting because a lot of the corporate media is starting now claiming he's a Russian spy. He did things for Russia. He definitely helped Vladimir Putin. He had a guy that he talked to directly that had ties to Vladimir Putin. He was definitely advising him. And this right here, this is the biggest lie. This is what's going to happen right now, too. Right here. For a time, we were told that there was no evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. FBI Director Kash Patel told us there is no credible information, none that he trafficked to other individuals. That is such bunk. That has been so provenly, so convincingly disproven at this point. Yeah, now suddenly, now the media is realizing that he was actually running a honeypot scheme, like everyone knew the whole time. But they're finally admitting it. But they're saying he did it for Russia, not Israel. This is a big lie right here. This is a big lie. He was doing it for Israel. It's not even a question. This is from councilstatemedia.uk. And they have a lot of documentation right here. He's basically in the emails talking about that he works for Israel over and over and over again. And this name keeps coming up, Ariana D. Rothschild. There she is emailing him. And she gave him business, tons of business. The Epstein's finances were managed by Lynn Forrester Dish Rothschild. And there she is right there with Epstein and Ghislaine. And these are the real people who run run the world. This group of people. Like Kroll Associates, Douche Bank. She, look at him hanging out with Deepak Chopra. Yeah. And this is the thing about all of this. Kash Patel, the FBI need to be brought before Congress and answer some questions about this stuff. Like, where's your report, dude? Like, you just dumped all these documents, but you have come to no conclusions. We want to know. Epstein was working for Mossad. What are you doing about it? Have you searched the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico? Have you dug up and see if there are any children's bodies and things like that out there? This guy, everybody needs to be brought before Congress. Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. All of them need to be, Deepak Chopra. They dumped all these documents. A lot of the documents, too, if you look through the documents, some of the documents actually show that they just throw anything against the wall. They're giving us everything, including things that are probably false allegations, which sucks. A lot of these people, some of these people that are named and in the Epstein files are going to be falsely accused of shit because crazy people will send an email to the FBI and accuse famous people of stuff. But there's a lot of names that keep coming up over and over and over again. And you know that they were connected. And the people that he did business with, who are still alive, a lot of them aren't, but the model agencies, the Wexners, all of those business associates, they need to all be brought before Congress. All of them. It's so much to look at. It's hard to even know. You know what? One thing I want to look at right here. Bring this up. Thomas Massey. This guy has been a hero. He's a Republican who's basically the one who has spearheaded and been against his own party to get the Epstein victims some justice. And he's been working with them, brought him before Congress. He got Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bobart and Nancy Mace to go along with him. And he's pointing out the spending bill. Now, we've cut SNAP benefits. We've cut all this stuff from Doge, right? We cut foreign spending, they said. But now they're passing a spending bill that wants to give trillions of dollars. Trillions and trillions of dollars to Israel. $3.3 trillion available to Israel. $3.3 trillion. You know how much, I'm worried about my Social Security. I don't know about you guys. The price of gold going up and the price of silver and the price of everything going up and the debt. If this country goes belly up on the debt, we don't get Social Security, guys. We don't get Medicare. And they're giving $3.3 trillion away. And more, $1.4 trillion to Egypt. $1.6 billion to Jordan. This is just unbelievable, the spending. The spending is out of control. And that's what this is all about. This is why people get blackmailed. A lot of these politicians have been bought by Israel and Russia, too. Pretty clear. I'm going to play this one.
Mr. Speaker, Thomas Massey and my Epstein Transparency Act led to millions of files being released that have shocked the conscience of the nation. Today, I call for Congress to haul in front of the Oversight Committee every single person who emailed about going to Epstein's Island. They need to answer some basic questions. Who raped these underage girls from working class families? What did they see? What did they know? What did they participate in? The American people are frustrated with the rich and powerful getting a different set of justice. There cannot be two tiers of justice in America, and I will not rest until the people who committed these heinous crimes and this heinous behavior are held accountable.
Who are they working for? That needs to be another question. Are they working with the Mossad? Did the CIA let them get away with this? Bring in Peter Thiel, too. I want to show something, too. This is this is the masseuse list. Can I get that up on the screen? Hold on. Why did it not go away? Hold on. Is this it? Nope. Hold on one second. I got too many files up. Too many docs. Maybe I could just explain this one. People probably already seen it, but I thought this one was. How do I bring it up? Yeah, basically what you have is pages. Oh, it only shows the first page on this one. But if you look at they have a masseuse list, and it's over 100 names there. It's over 100 names. You know, these are all young women who are victims. Hundreds and hundreds of names. I'm gonna check in with the chat. I haven't even looked at the chat. I'm so amped up. How am I doing tonight? Sarah says, "Nice to see you back on stream, Mike. It feels good. I'm doing double duty today. I'm getting warmed up for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, big show with Judge Carol Erskine talking about DCF. I'm happy to see some of our shorts are going viral on YouTube. It looks like, and especially Facebook. And I'm happy to see some people on Facebook following us now, checking us out a lot more. Yeah, this is the big problem. This is a good point. 3 click Monty. What you see so often is the senders, the people who are the perpetrators. Their names are blanked out, but the victims often aren't. So the DOJ really fumbled this in terms of protecting people. Yes, I did get a haircut. I got a very short haircut for once. I like it. Everybody so far has liked it. So I didn't even know about this one. The 250 million. It's like, oh, I'm dropping the bucket. I don't even know about that one. This one right here. Epstein had the resource, politicians, judges, law enforcement in his pocket, and the intelligence services, which have so much power. I don't think people realize how much the spy agencies, whether it's CIA, Mossad, or even some of the like the French ones and the MI, the English, and especially even the Russians. Like, think about that. Think about the top like 15 countries in their intelligence. I mean, even like Turkey. Like Turkey, you wouldn't think Turkey. Turkey has like a scary intelligence group. Like all of them, all of those major nations have these military intelligence spy organizations, and they have enormous power over what happens in this world. And we don't see it all the time. And this is how they do things. And the Mossad are like one of the strongest and hardcore about it. And I understand why, because they're the minority. They're a small population, and they're very successful, and they're I find great people, and we saw what happened to them in history. So they're going to be more hardcore about protecting their interest. And this is what's going on. And it's not that I am not anti-Semitic at all, not at all. I love Jewish people, but this is about the state of Israel and America and independence and just horrible shit that goes on with these intelligence agencies. And if you don't think the CIA is doing the same type of shit in other countries, they sure are. And you know, the only way it's going to stop is if people expose it. That's my thing. I think it needs to be exposed. I think people need to know reality of what actually is happening in this world and how much money that they have, and it's about the money too, because they control the spending in America that goes to Israel. All right. I'm gonna skip the masseuses. You know what I want to? I want to play this a little bit. This is Katie Johnson's full testimony on of February 11th, 2016. It's a video that's online, and I'm just gonna play some of the audio from it. You put it up on the screen. Actually, I'm gonna do one thing first. I get worried about copyright on some of this stuff, but I think it'll be fine. What I'm gonna do though. Again, I'm putting up Bill Clinton on the screen with Jeffrey Epstein. But a lot of what this woman's talking about is Donald Trump, actually. And that's why I put them both up, because this is a nonpartisan issue.
At some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump. I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but. Before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, you need to use a glove. And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, no one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove. So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties. I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels, I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that, that's what she did, is that she helped girls, get what they wanted, and she could help me get into modeling. That she knew a lot of people that were higher ups, and that it would be no problem. And so that's why, but I would just basically have to come model at a couple of events and meet some people. It would be no sweat. So of course I went. That sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties, and they all looked. Most of them were, my age. There was, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young. So Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird. But I mean, modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. And then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, "Well, you'll do. I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here." And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me, and
God, I think that's enough at this point, right? I mean, wow. That just, oh my God. The thing is, you're starting to see people resign from major positions over this today. Thought I had I want to bring up the Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton made a statement today on Twitter. Here it is. Hillary Clinton. This is the Hill. Clinton. Hillary Clinton presses Comer for public hearing instead of Epstein investigation deposition. So basically, here it is. He says, if you want this fight, Rep. James Comer, let him have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there, she says on Twitter today. So basically, Congress, Rep. James Comer, has been trying to get Hillary and Bill Clinton to do a deposition before Congress. And it looks like, they've been going back and forth. And a lot of people expected that they would never testify about Jeffrey Epstein, that they would plead the fifth, and they still could. They could plead the fifth on certain questions. But Hillary Clinton called their bluff today and was like, let's bring it on. Let's have it in public. Let's do it. And if James Comer doesn't have it in public, come on. Like, this is what all of them need to be in public. It needs to be in public. If you need to protect victims ahead of time and figure out ways that you don't disclose victim information, I get it. Work it out with the witnesses. Give them some ground rules. Make sure your Congress people know the ground rules so that they're not doing it themselves. But these need to be public. These hearings all need to be public. I want to see it for Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Peter Thiel. All of these people need to be brought up. All of them. Every single one of them. It needs to be public. I thought that was interesting today. Bring it on. Make it public. What else do I want to show today? I don't want to go through too many documents because my eyes, honestly. So I'm gonna make this a little shorter. You know what I want to do right now? This is Brian LTL. Did I pin him in the chat? Let me make sure I pinned him in the YouTube chat at least. No, I didn't pin it. All right, let me make sure I pin Brian. We'll do that first. My glasses right again. Here we go. Make sure you're following Brian. All right. Let me make sure I pin it in the chat. All right, we have that pinned. Wait, no, I pinned the wrong one. I pinned the wrong one. I my eyes, man. There we go. All right. So make sure you subscribe and follow Brian from LTL. What I want to do right now, this will help me get organized too. Brian's got a kind of a long video that he just put out from some of his documentation. And this is Little St. James, the island. Video from the Epstein files. Epstein, Little St. James Island, and New York City tunnels. No sound on this, but I thought it was interesting. I want to. We're just gonna play some of that right now. I love the documentation from LTL Media. Nice place, but I wouldn't want to be there. And again, this video has no audio that we're playing. It's from LTL Media, from the Epstein files, a video of little St. John, his island. Imagine being captured there. Imagine being held hostage as a young girl. That was life for many people. And that's why this needs to get fully investigated. And Bill Gates, anyone that went to the island needs to be brought before Congress, open testimony. Bill Gates is another one. Bill Gates is another one that needs to be brought in. There was an email that Jeffrey Epstein sent himself, and you can see exactly what's going on here. There's some leverage. He's basically saying that Bill Gates needed some STD meds and gave them to his wife so she wouldn't find out. Now, we don't know if that actually happened or if that's true. Pretty sure Bill Gates has probably already denied that. But his wife, his ex-wife, Melinda, who has a lot of money, she said he needs to answer for it. He needs to publicly answer for it. And he needs to tell what this group was trying to do to him. Because he's kind of a, even if he's a perpetrator, even if he did these evil things, he's kind of a victim in a way. In a weird way. If he was getting it blackmailed, which I think he was. All of these guys need to fall on their swords, so to speak, and tell the truth. Come clean. Be honest about what happened. I'm sure most of them won't. I'm sure most of them will lie, but they need to be brought before Congress. And again, this is LTL Media video. Subscribe. It's pinned in the chat, on the YouTube chat. I know some of you watching on Facebook, LTL Media. You can also follow him on Facebook. He's got a good Facebook page as well. KK on YouTube said, I saw Melinda Gates made a statement that everyone needs to answer for this, exactly, including her ex-husband. She specifically called for Bill Gates to answer for this. Yeah, Elon Musk, he needs to talk about it too, even if he didn't do anything. And I'm not sure that Elon was as much a part of this as it looks like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and Bill Gates were. And some of these other people like there's a lot of people. There's a lot of, and especially the key players that were part of the modeling and the recruitment and the spying. Like a lot, anyone in the ring, financially, the banks, they need to all be brought in. Yeah, I agree. I think they need to check the island for bodies, but I think, an island, in the Caribbean may be a little harder to check, honestly, with jurisdiction. But it's not hard to check is the ranch in New Mexico. And that's where a lot of this shit actually happens. So the New Mexico ranch needs to be checked. And Kash Patel needs to answer why they haven't searched that ranch. But again, Elon Musk, even if he wasn't that much part of it, even if he was he needs to talk. He needs to tell exactly what happened, what his relationship was, what he saw, what he knows, what he heard. It needs to all come out. It needs to all come out. Yeah, I don't think Hillary was involved, but I would like to hear what she knows. What Bill told her. I'm sure she knows some things. And I'd also like to hear from Melinda Gates too. Maybe she'll come and speak. She might know some more things. But everyone needs to be brought before Congress. Yeah, and this guy, the guy that directed the Melania film, he's had a lot of allegations in the past. Brett Radner, he's a Hollywood producer, and he's kind of lost his luster. He used to be a big deal because of sex scandals even before Epstein, and then you got pictures of him with Epstein and it looks like young girls. So Brett Radner needs to be brought in. Anybody like that needs to be brought in. Anyone of significance. Well, this is the thing, Sarah. I agree with you to an extent, but some of these people might be afraid. They might have been afraid back then too, because when you're dealing with the Mossad, look what they probably did to Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of these people are dead. Some of the modeling guys. Look what happened. If you look at what happened to Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, Robert Maxwell, was definitely he was the one who started all this, and he got thrown off a boat. Apparently, they said he fell off a boat. I don't know. So a lot of these, there's a reason for them to be afraid, but they need to come speak. They need to be afraid of Congress. You know, more people are speaking out. There's no look at all this. This is all X'd out. When you see this blank, black screen, they're covering up a minor, covering up a victim. These are victims. You see their legs. They look young. Those legs look young, what I'm looking at right there. There you go. Sheila, you make a good point. She says, I don't think it was that many people from Congress. I think it was more rich New Yorkers in Silicon Valley. Yeah, and the money, and the Hollywood. I think a lot of Hollywood, military, but also you're looking at like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Bill Gates, maybe some musicians. Yeah, maybe. I know Eddie Vedder wasn't on any of those planes, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, Deepak Chopra. He needs to talk about what he knows too. And the other guy from Harvard there, Chomsky. Chomsky still alive? He needs to come clean if he's alive. The wild stuff. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because we can't see too much here. This is all. Look at it. It's all blacked out. All blacked out. This whole thing's blacked out in the bed. It looks like. Look, here's his helicopter. He used to always in the emails talk about I could send the heli out. The only way in or out is by helicopter, unless you swim to land, I guess, with the sharks all around. Peter Thiel, he's another one who needs to be brought in. You want all our military contracts. That's the thing with Musk and Peter Thiel. They need to be brought in. If they want to continue to get U.S. military contracts, this is what the Congress has over those guys. So the U.S. Congress has to be a lot stronger, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, and the people got to demand it. We got to just keep on this. Or helicopter. All right, I'm tired of the helicopter. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Looks like they're having a joyride in this helicopter. There it comes again. All right, this helicopter just. All right. I wonder if this is New York City actually too, because there's parts of New York City in this. It says New York City tunnels. Oh, that's not. Nope, that is New York. There you go. So this is the New York City part. Tunnels. They interesting. Interesting. All right. We got through most of that. I'm gonna click out of that. Thank you to Brian from LTL. I want to play another video here. Peter Thiel or Thiel, whatever you want to call him. It's funny because when Epstein was telling the Israeli prime minister about Palantir, he misspelled Palantir. It's not spelled the way he said, but he didn't misspell Peter Thiel. Didn't misspell that.
Any comments at all on the Epstein connections?
And this is a random person named, I guess, Dan Dix, who came across Peter Thiel, looks like in Washington, D.C., and asked him about Epstein. And this is Peter Thiel. He's a famous billionaire who started Palantir. He's part of what a lot of people call the PayPal mafia. He was in with Elon Musk from way back. And Palantir is a company that is big in the UK. They run the National Health Service over there. They collect all the data. A lot of the Doge people, a lot of these guys came from Palantir. There's a big concern that Palantir has all the federal info now through Trump. And Palantir runs a lot of these cameras that you see on the roadways. They collect all the data. They have all the data for all the corporations. They are the surveillance state. They are the number one AI surveillance state company, deep state. They're the biggest new military contractor, private, public. They own it all. And this guy, I don't trust him at all. He has backed JD Vance. This guy is a nihilist. He's got like a right-wing billionaire cult, and they look at us as all the peasants. They want to exterminate us, is basically the way that this guy acts. And you can see it in the way he writes and talks and his public persona. And Barrett Brown, famous activist, has exposed a lot of what they're into decades ago. Barrett went to federal prison over it.
Any comments at all on the Epstein connections? You were meeting with them. People are waking up to what you're doing there, sir. That's why we're here covering this.
How fast he started walking we get asked about that.
Wow,
Epstein.
Peter Thiel was booking it. That man picked up the pace. The second the word Epstein came out, it seemed he started getting a little faster.
He did, didn't he?
But stone cold Peter Thiel.
He's a stone cold killer, Peter Thiel.
Of course, co-founded Palantir with Alex Karp, who is still here. And these are the guys who are setting up the Big Brother surveillance system,
Exactly.
essentially to track, trace, and database everyone. Not just Americans, you may have heard me say that, but literally everyone. And that's a big reason part of the reason why he is here. There is a lot of heavy kind of tech representation here and military men who are preparing for something. So Peter Thiel
Surveillance
in the
state.
house.
It's the surveillance state. They want total control. Total control. What do we just want? Yeah. This is another one I want to bring up. This isn't a video. This is just to show you what's really going on here. Epstein, this is a tweet. Epstein worked for intelligence agencies. He may have also been trained as a spy by ex-Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. That was the guy that we played. He was speaking to on the phone. Alan Dershowitz, who's from Massachusetts, but well, he's actually, I think, from New York, but he stays in Massachusetts during the summer. Alan Dershowitz, Kushner's Harvard law professor to the FBI. The report also indicates that billionaire Leon Black provided Epstein with $50 million while his firm Apollo lent the Kushners $184 million during their financial struggles. So these guys are all connected. And the Kushners are in on it. He's another one who should be brought up before Congress. Jared Kushner. Leon Black. Is Leon Black still around? He should also be brought up. All of these guys, all of them, should be brought before Congress. All of them. Alex Karp from Palantir. He should be brought up before Congress. It's time. It's time to really expose these people and what they're doing, what their goals are. There's a tweet. Exclusive Palantir owner Peter Thiel, who owns 100 million pounds of sensitive UK government contracts facilitated by Epstein associate Peter Mandelson, was co-owner of billion-dollar fund with Jeffrey Epstein. Both connected to senior Russian officials. Do you see this? Peter Thiel needs to be brought before Congress. We could click on the story. We want to look at more of this. I mean, this needs to happen. Thiel's spokesman denies former Israeli PM's claim Jeffrey Epstein co-owned Palantir Founders Venture Fund, but confirms Epstein was a limited partner. No, he didn't own it all. He was just a limited partner. These guys need to be brought before Congress, all of them. And that's the thing. If the U.S. Congress doesn't do it, they're going to have egg on the face because in the UK and all of these other European countries, they're all starting investigations now. They're going to be looking into this. So the U.S. can fail us, but other countries are looking into it. Oh, you know what? Not the ex-wife. Let's bring up the current wife. Let's bring up Melania and ask Melania, when did you meet Epstein and how did you meet him? Did Epstein introduce you to Donald Trump? He was a model. This is what they did. They abused a lot of these young models. Donald Trump was big into the model thing. The pageants. All of them need to be. Alan Dershowitz, another guy that needs to be brought before Congress. Acosta, who gave. This is the thing with the FBI. The FBI needs to be brought out because they had this guy. They had Epstein decades ago, and they gave him. They basically let him off. All of those guys need to be brought up. Exactly. Why is it the U.S.? The big club and we're not in it. Yeah, some of these mass cases too. You've seen the tentacles too. Even Mara Healey's one of her biggest advisors is caught up in this. I mean, it reaches down to Norfolk County even. They literally need to be all brought in. This is a big nest and we need to expose it all. All right, I want to play this video. This is Ted Lieu, I believe, U.S. Congressman. Oh, I didn't put it up. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry. I thought I put it up. 1 second. I thought it shared it. It didn't share it. I don't know why. Oh, I guess I don't have it on the screen. All right. I hope I didn't. Did I not screen share everything else? I don't know. We'll see on the replay. I hope you saw the documentation I was putting up on the
So
website.
why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times.
He is.
In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations. And I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said essentially that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is.
This is the sloppiness of Kash Patel and his FBI. And, the FBI actually didn't do a bad job on their early releases. But whoever put this together, I guess the Department of Justice, even over the FBI, they didn't protect the victims at all with this latest release. That's why they're being held back now.
Uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women.
And they invaded their privacy, and they didn't invade the privacy of the perps as much. They covered up a lot of email addresses, a lot of who was being sent, and in the emails, the names. They covered them up, but they didn't cover up the victims in a lot of cases.
Now, who were girls at the time who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
Yeah, that's a big issue too. Maxwell needs to be brought back to maximum security. She's a big part of this. Big part of this. And again, who was he working for? Who was this guy working for? It's from Russia Today.
Of course, it's a book that came out some years ago. Now, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, there are reports she's in Paris. You maintain that it was your employer, Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent, and as was his daughter.
He was not my employer. I would like to correct that.
Okay.
We worked together with him.
And you say that his daughter, Ghislaine, also, though, worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell way before the 1990s, as mainstream media is reporting.
Correct. Mr. Epstein was introduced to Ms. Maxwell probably sometime in the 80s. And Mr. Maxwell also thought he might be introducing a fellow to date his daughter. He tried to do a favor to his daughter, to find her a shidduch, as they say in Hebrew, a match.
Okay, and that didn't really quite work out. I suppose what the most alarming allegations that you've been making are that the entire Epstein operation was a honey trap operation to entrap politicians, policymakers, celebrities, people in the media eye, basically to become Israel's assets.
Correct. That it became basically an intelligence operation to entrap different politicians around the world.
Again, this is Ari Ben Manash, who's a former spy for Israel. So a former spy for Israel is telling you Robert Maxwell ran a honeypot operation. His daughter Ghislaine was set up as a match with Jeffrey Epstein by the father, the crazy father who ran this honeypot operation, and also was a powerful figure in British media, who owned a very influential newspaper. And that the whole thing, all of them, all three of them, it's all the same thing. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were the heir to Robert Maxwell of this spy honeypot operation. They kept it in the family. And that's why Epstein got all this billions and millions and quadrillions of dollars from rich Israelis, from Lex Wessner, from the Rothschilds. It was the perfect cover. He's a banker. A banker. He's just a banker. Come hang out with him. Have fun. Young girls. This is what went on. All right, I'm not going to show too many more. I was going to go through some documents, but I just felt like I shared a little too much tonight. And I think this was good to just jump in. And I just want to kind of keep it somewhat short tonight. I could get through all the history with Bill Clinton and Donald Trump and Epstein, but I just wanted to touch like kind of 50,000 feet just to give people an idea of what is kind of going on here. Who are some of the big names involved? There's a lot of names I haven't even mentioned, but you get an idea of what the big picture is here and what should happen and what we should be asking for is the U.S. Congress to do something. The U.S. Congress, Democrats or Republicans, demand that these people all be brought before Congress, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. David Copperfield, he's another one. Bring David Copperfield. How about Bono? Bono, I believe, flew on the plane. Let's bring in Bono. Yeah, it is ironic that Maxwell is the female, the only one going down for this crime. Well, Jeffrey Epstein went down. He went to jail and got, who knows what happened. And so, Robert Maxwell, he didn't, I mean, there have been some people and some of these other, there was like these model scouts and these human traffickers that were involved in this, some of the bankers, some of them have died too. So she's not the only one. But it is interesting. The only one right now in jail is her, a female. Some people think Epstein is alive. That's actually crazily possible with this crew. I would not even doubt. I'm not saying there's any proof of it. But they all need to be brought before Congress. That's the big thing. Anyone who flew to that island, anyone who stayed at that island, needs to be brought before Congress. Subpoenas need to go out. I want to play this one more time because I played it at the beginning of the show. You may not have seen it. You may not have viewed it. I like this one. This is a good one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Play this one more time.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel. And everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts
He
sort of
looks-
strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah.
Yeah.
He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir, Pallen. Tier. Palantir is Peter Thiel's
TAR
company.
at the end.
And look at it.
Palantir, Palantir?
Yes,
How you write Thiel? Thielly?
Thiel.
Lly.
No, Thie.
Oh, so this is the famous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein speaking to the prime minister of Israel and telling him about two famous tech guys, Peter Thiel, who runs Palantir, surveillance technology company, military contractor, the ones that the local police departments are now starting to use to profile us all, the ones that are tracking activists, the ones that are working with ICE, with the tracking software. Peter Thiel, he is the head of the surveillance state worldwide. That's Peter Thiel. And he's telling the prime minister of Israel, this is who you need to be with. You need to be with Peter Thiel and this guy, Mark Andreessen. And it's funny because people like Joe Rogan features all these people on his show and never has any hard questions for them. Who do you think Joe Rogan's working for?
LL.
Okay.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you.
Okay.
He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, they pay Larry $1 million a year just to advise.
And that's the thing. I guarantee the Mass State Police are using Palantir. I guarantee they're using their software. And the thing is, they don't disclose it. So when you get arrested, when there's a parallel construction, they used to do this through like the DEA and the feds, but then they started getting caught. So now they outsource the illegal surveillance. They outsource it to private corporations with like Peter Thiel, a billionaire that is like unaccountable to these big corporations that everyone's scared of. And they're secretly using the software against you now to profile you. Oh, yeah, I'm sure Joe Rogan's on the payroll. Distract. That's all these guys do is they distract. They don't focus on anything important. He is a clown. He's from Massachusetts, too. It's a disappointment. And he's an MMA guy. You'd think I'd like him. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the bigger question is where was America's intelligence community while this Russian, it's not even Russian. This is Israeli. This is Israeli. Israel cooperates with the U.S. and Russia, and that's part of why Epstein had such close ties to the Russians. Some people think this is a Russian honeypot. It's an Israeli honeypot. But I'll continue to read this. This honeypot trap was run for 2 decades. I believe it was even longer than that, actually, especially when you include Robert Maxwell. What's Congress or any president ever informed, and why was no action? You know why no action? Is because the CIA is doing the same shit. And the CIA is probably cooperating with them. And the CIA is probably getting information from Epstein. That's why. That's why. They all work together. All these intelligence agencies, even the Russians. The Russians are giving info to Epstein. Epstein's giving information to them. They all work together. It's a big club and we're not in it. Joe says I was in tech and Blockbuster Video. I'm sorry, Joe. Things have passed you by. Me too, mostly. Remember Blockbuster? You'd spend Friday night like just looking at the. Oh shit! You'd see like 5 empty covers. You'd be all mad because the movie you like. Now you can watch whatever you want, right? You just got to pay for it. Blockbuster. Those were the days. No one was surveilling us. No one was surveilling us back then. And a lot of times it's, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. So if he did something for the CIA or the FBI, that's why they're not doing anything. Or if he has something on them, That's the other thing. They have something on each other. A lot of times, who knows if they were blackmailing the head of the FBI, or the head of DOJ, or the president, right? Yeah, please be kind. Rewind. Did anyone not rewind their tapes? Well, it costs you more money. If you didn't rewind, you gotta pay up. Did anyone? The big question is, did anyone just not return the video and you end up paying for it? I had a lot of friends like that. Go over to their house and be all blockbuster videos like that they just kept. They paid for. If you didn't return it after a certain amount of time, they just billed you for the entire cost of the video, which is like $50 probably, or 25 back then. I never did that, but some of my friends did. All right, let's finish this video.
Andreas and
Andreeson, Andreessen, and Horowitz.
Harwood.
Horo, Horowitz.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are?
They are the biggest venture.
The biggest venture capital in Silicon Valley. We're going to own the surveillance state. That's what this was all about. That's what this was all about, this call between the Prime Minister of Israel and Jeffrey Epstein. I think this is funny. Joe Biffle says, I still have Encino Man. You know, one of my roommates had fast times at Ridgemont High when we were at Bridgewater State. In Bridgewater State, when I went there was no cable television. You have to have the antenna. There was hills. We were far enough away from Boston. We didn't get good TV reception from Boston. We'd get some of the Rhode Island channels, but not many, like one or two. So we basically didn't have very good TV reception at Bridgewater State. So we would just watch the VCR and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I saw that movie probably 300 times. That's a funny one. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Not both ways. We actually lived on the hill. You'd have to walk down the hill, and then you'd have to walk up another hill. Actually, kind of just get over the railroad tracks. It's not really a hill, but it was a steep set of stairs to get to class, and then you had to walk up the hill on the way home. Not both ways, but both ways when you go up and back, right? Those kids probably still do that. Some of them will take a bus. We used to have buses, but you'd have to wait in the cold. I'd just end up walking. Sometimes I'd run. But yeah, billionaires, way too much influence. They're getting way too rich. There's no doubt about it. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up tonight. Tomorrow night. 6 p.m., we're going to have a judge, a retired family court judge, Carol Erskine, back on the show. We're going to talk about DCF, Massachusetts DCF, and how they've failed a lot of children, a lot of kids in this state. They've failed a lot of children. I want to thank Sarah for throwing in a super chat tonight. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, aloha, Mr. Hand. Exactly. Aloha. What is? I like when he falls out of the van, the smoky van. Spicoli. Yeah, it should be a great show tomorrow night. Judge Carroll is always good. And I may be on Grace Curley tomorrow if there's enough local coverage to cover. Maybe she wants to talk about Savannah Guthrie. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I may be on the Grace Curley show, usually around 1 p.m. on WRKO and like 40 other channels. I also got some exciting news earlier. Finally, after like 3 or 4 times emailing, I got a response from the group in Massachusetts and the courts that approved, credentialed journalists. I've been crying about this for quite a while. So hopefully I think that's going to get done. I'm finally going to get approved as a court reporter, which is going to be exciting. There was also a Karen Reed hearing this week, civil hearing. The big news on that is Proctor says he lost his phone. Proctor lost his phone. Isn't that convenient? I wonder if Proctor lost his. Do you think? Let me ask you in the chat. Do you think Proctor really lost his phone, or do you think maybe he gave it to Brian Higgins to get rid of at the base, the military base? Maybe Brian Higgins dumped it. Maybe he gave it to Matt Kelch with the ATF, or maybe he lost it in Kevin Albert's police car. Maybe they got drunk together. This time, instead of being in Proctor's car, they went in Kevin Albert's car. He lost his phone there. Maybe you should go check with Kevin Albert. What happened to Proctor's phone? It's unbelievable. It's freaking unbelievable. But we know that Karen Reed is going to have a chance to subpoena. It looks like I think it was either March or April. Proctor's bunch of them are going to be getting subpoenas from Karen Reed's team, which is good news. There's a hearing coming up, I believe. Is it at the end of this week, maybe? Or next week? Either this week or next week. Another Karen Reed civil trial hearing coming up. There's also a Kelsey Fitzsimmons hearing coming up, I believe, on Monday. One of the things I haven't touched on is the Kelsey Fitzsimmons video that came out, the surveillance video of Kelsey with the baby and the 4 police officers coming in, and one of them with gloves, the one who actually shot her. That came out recently in the last week or so. And the big thing about that is it confirms what I told you all, my sourced reporting. I don't know if people remember this, but a couple months ago, I told you that surveillance video from Kelsey's home would come up big in this. And so far, the defense has just posted one little snippet of them entering the home. I'm sure they have much more video of her exiting the home. And I believe there are other cameras in the house, including the garage. And I think that's going to come up big in this trial when the witnesses have to explain why their testimony doesn't match with the video testimony. And I think that's going to come up big. I think both the police officer as well as the fiance to Kelsey Fitzsimmons are going to face a lot of tough questioning in that trial. And people are asking me why I haven't been covering it that much. I have been. I've been going to all the hearings. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be there on Monday. We'll see what happens. But I definitely have been streaming them all. I've been showing up to every hearing so far. I've been to every hearing so far. I may not make it to Monday, but we'll see. But the big thing is I know kind of how this is going to work out. And I think what you're going to see for witnesses is obviously a lot of these police officers, firefighters are going to be called. Whether by the defense or the prosecution remains to be seen who actually calls them. But I think a lot of them are going to be called. I think there may be some surprise witnesses, one that I know of. And I think their testimony could be very interesting. And I think I would not be surprised if after this is all over that at least one of them come on the show and discuss it. It's going to be a lot to see on the Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So I'm interested to see when that happens, that trial. It's going to be sooner rather than later. So I'm looking to cover that, and it's going to be fun to kind of dig in and watch the witnesses. I don't think anyone needs to insert themselves. We just cover it and see where it goes. And I think it's going to go in a certain direction where people are going to get to see the truth, just like Kelsey's been saying and her attorneys Tim Bradle and Martha Coakley have been saying the entire time. So, been covering all that. But again, like I said, my reporting turned out good. Surveillance video is going to be big in this case. And I think that was the kind of subliminal. They released that video for a reason. Number one, it humanizes Kelsey. It shows here's a woman I think she was barefoot. She was in her shorts. She had a baby in her arms. She looked very peaceful. She let the cops right in. How did it get to that? You know? I think everything that I reported on so far has turned out to be right on the mark. There's going to be a lot of questions about the fiance, his actions leading up to this, before and after and during. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you have your notifications. If you're subscribed right now, check again. Some people said they were unsubscribed and they didn't even know why they didn't do it. So make sure sometimes YouTube does that, gets funky. Make sure you subscribe to the Young Jerks and make sure you hit the notifications set to all. There's different ways you can subscribe. You don't want to miss us. Make sure you have the all checked off on the Young Jerks. You want all notifications. Yeah, she looked very calm in the video, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. There was one of my critics who said they were talking about LTL and myself. I'm not even going to name them, but they said something like, Mike, at least Mike's going back and LTL are going back to real content again. Yeah. And I think that the person saying that should probably consider the same, but they like the money. They like the drama. Good for them. But the big thing on me, they were like, oh, even if he's only got like 20 to 50 viewers or whatever, 100 viewers. Well, the thing about us is we're also on Facebook, we're also on Twitter, and we're also on YouTube. So it does add up. But even like for me, it's like, of course, like if you didn't know, for 10 years, I did that. I had less viewers than I do now for like 10 years, and I had my ups and downs. For me, it's not about clicks or access, or I just like to do the work. And I know that some people are going to find value in it, and people are going to follow or they're not going to follow. It's like nothing new for me. It's nothing I haven't done before. And this will be like the 10th comeback. Like, that's what this feels like. And it's funny because even when I was in sports, I always liked to be the underdog. I had so much more fun and get off on it and have a chip on my shoulders when I'm the underdog. What's a lot tougher is when you're one of the top, when you're the top seed or the first or second seed. It's expected you win. Because then when you start to falter, it's like, oh, it's much better to be the underdog. I like to be the underdog. And I think my credibility speaks for itself, honestly, especially the info I bring to people. Like, who else told you that Kelsey Fitzsimmons, that surveillance video was going to be big in this? And the first real piece of evidence the defense shows is surveillance video. I told you that months ago. Nobody else told you that. I did. KK Khan says, but Mike, underdog, you're a top truth-telling reporter and discussion drum. Maybe. But you know what? I like to pretend I'm the underdog. And if they're telling me I'm the underdog, I love it. I'm eating it up. I am the underdog. I love to under-promise, overachieve. That's a good thing to do. And you're not disappointing anyone. I want to thank all of you who stuck with me, especially the real ones, the Joe Biffles, the Sarah and Chuck and her. I love you so much. You don't even know. I'm sorry I missed you recently. We were supposed to do something. I never followed up with you. You didn't follow up with me, so I think we're good. But I didn't forget. I just, there's been a lot going on, as I think you know. Again, if you can follow us on the Young Jerks on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're subscribing or follow, wherever you're watching us, please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you're here. Thank you, Sheila. I want to thank all our mods. We got some great mods here. I love the lady. We have all the ladies, and then we have Joe Biffle. Joe Biffle's like an honorary mod. I don't think he actually does any moderation here. You got to have one dude on your mod team when it's all women. It wasn't your fault because it worked out perfect for me. It was very cold that day and I had a lot to do, actually. Yes, we do have great mods. Great mod team. All right. Any questions before we go? You know what? I'm going to throw it out there. I'm only going to give you a couple minutes. A lot of times people are behind, so there's not really a good chance in a couple minutes that someone's going to call in. A lot of times people are like, a half hour behind watching. But I'm throwing out the StreamYard link. If anyone wants to call in, make a comment about Epstein or any of the content. Maybe you want to talk about Savannah Guthrie. Maybe you want to talk about Karen Reed or Kelsey Fitzsimmons or the Young Jerks or the drama or what else? Or Jeffrey Epstein. Or if you just want to say hi. The link is in the chat. I'm going to pin it for a second here. If anyone, you don't have to put on your video either. You could just do audio. Maybe you're a YouTuber and you want to promote yourself. I'll throw it out there for a minute. Oh, we got Sarah in shock and horror. I love it. Sarah, how you doing today?
Hello, Michael.
You're
Can you hear me?
watching live. You weren't behind.
I am, yes. And I remembered to mute.
Yeah. So what do you think about today or in general? What do you want to talk about?
Well, the Epstein stuff is nuts. I love that you're covering it. Thank you. I am not probably as informed as a lot of people that I've seen in chat, so I've kind of been learning as I've been watching, which is the point. But we absolutely need transparency. So the question becomes, what level will we get that, or will we get it at all? And so I just echo your sentiments. We need transparency. We're owed that, and hopefully we get it. But I still personally think a lot of the information we're seeing is being very carefully crafted and controlled. So I don't know, Mike. I don't know. I just have a lot of distrust. And
I have a lot of distrust in the fact that they threw millions of documents at us.
Right.
And then pulled it away, actually.
Right.
And didn't give any kind of overview of it. Usually when the government releases documents, they give a review. They give a write-up. They explain what they found, what it means, how some things aren't really relevant or aren't credible, but this is more credible. They didn't do any of that. It was just like, here's all this shit. We're just going to overwhelm you with an avalanche. We'll deal with it for a week, and then hopefully everyone forgets about it. That's what it feels like to me, but I don't think that's going to work. But what do you think?
No, I agree. As far as kind of what's the term I want? It's making me think of Yannetti and AJ from the first Karen Reed trial, drinking from a fire hose.
Yes.
That's how I feel with this. Is we are intentionally being led to drink water from a fire hose because people have very short attention spans. Some people don't really want to or don't have time to put in the energy to do their own research, and some people just straight up lack critical thinking skills. So
that's a big problem, the lack of critical.
Yes.
I say logic 101. Everyone should be required. The two things I think every American needs is a financial literacy course at a young age and logic 101. Like they don't offer that in grade school. It's like
they teach you very little in school that is actually beneficial in real life, in my personal opinion. I mean, I don't even know if they offer home ec classes or anything like that anymore. And I know that's not what we're here for, but yeah, I agree with your point. So I hope that this stays in the news cycle. I think it probably will for a little bit, but not as long as it should. And I will be very interested to find out if Hillary's public kind of throwing the gauntlet, if you will, if it's picked up, I don't think it will be. I think there will be some lame excuse for not allowing transparency and not allowing cameras. And, Mike, this is where I really miss having a true dedicated spotlight team, using Boston as an example. We don't have that type of mainstream media anymore. It's all on YouTube now. So you guys are all the ones who are doing the digging and the heavy lifting, because mainstream media is just owned by all of these companies that are too invested. And so they can't report the truth because their necks would be on the line too.
Exactly. That's what's so helpful about like what Brian's doing and a lot of other YouTubers. It's like show after show, just going through the documents, just going through the pictures, going through the videos. And I think that's what is good about YouTube is that we love content. So we're like, we can continue to go show after show after show, just covering different angles. I just covered the Israeli kind of political influence. And I just like was doing like 60,000 feet. I didn't really get into the nitty gritty, which I could do. And I just think that's the way you do it, is you just continue to cover it and drip on it. And I hope people do that.
Well, and the nice thing too, Mike, is you are your own boss. So you don't have to worry about advertisers and being told what to say and getting financing pulled and things like that. And that's the world that mainstream media is. And so I think that it's why a lot of people, myself included, you know this, I'm very new to YouTube. I've only been on YouTube for, I guess, about a year and a half now. I didn't really know what it was before the first Karen Reed trial, but you hold yourself accountable, but you don't have anybody telling you, Mike Crawford, you can't talk about this today. And that's really critical. And people can still choose to disagree with how you're representing things or your views. It doesn't make what you're doing any less important.
No, and I love this comment from Boston Brandy. I'm glad you're watching. Love you, Boston Brandy. We love you. Boston
Yes.
Brandy says no mainstream media outrage and no arrest. They're just confirming they can do what they want as elites, and no one is stopping them. And I think that's a big part of this too, Boston Brandy. I think they're testing. They're testing to see how much they can get away with before people get in an uproar. And in Europe, you're seeing pushback. In Europe, if you do half the shit they do in America, there's riots in the street. In America, it seems like we take a lot more. And I think that this is part of it. If we don't, all of us stand up, left and right, Republican, Democrats, independents, they're just going to push through this surveillance state. It's so obvious. The writing's on the wall. And so this is a test. This is a test of the people, not just our reps. Our reps aren't going to do anything unless people get really mad. So
Yep.
I hope people stand up and write their Congress reps and raise hell about this.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people will. What concerns me, Mike, and then if you need to go, I can say this in closing because you know that I'll talk to you all night and I don't want to keep you,
No, I love
but
it. Go, keep going.
my biggest concern because of my personal mistrust is at what point will the people, the powers that be that own all of the mainstream news stations say, okay, enough is enough, and now let's go cover XYZ to get the attention and the news cycle off of this. And maybe I'm just too jaded and too tinfoil hattish as I get older, but that's really my real concern is that this will eventually move from a page 1 to a page 12 and people will get too tired to care before anything happens.
All right, I think the thing we have going on this one is that a lot of eyeballs are interested. So
Yep.
as long as that there's a market for it, especially on YouTube, people will cover it. So let's just
Yeah.
hope people don't get bored too quickly of this, and we get some real disclosure and real accountability.
Yep, I agree.
Like one big guy just had to resign today. Did you see that one? We didn't even cover that one.
No, I don't
One
think so.
Yeah, one big money guy is basically stepping down. So from something or other, we'll probably cover that another day. But so much stuff is actually happening on this, which is, Hillary Clinton spoke out today. We'll see what I want to see what happens with Trump.
Yeah. Yep. And I want to watch the people who step down versus the people who don't, and then really keep an eye on the people who step down and what their next chess move is.
Totally.
So, yeah. But yeah.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say tonight before we go?
No, I don't think so. Just excited. I've fallen behind on Kelsey Fitzsimmons. I have a lot of stuff that I have to catch up on, so I'll definitely get caught up on that. But yeah, just nice to see you back on screen. Nice to be back with everybody in chat. I know a lot of people have had a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, it's important to get back and cover these topics and just come together and know that as long as we're informed, we can make good changes and positive changes in the world. And I guess in my final closing, I will just say that while I feel like the Patriots are probably going to get killed on Sunday, I'm rooting for my team, and hopefully you'll do okay in fantasy football.
My fantasy football's over, so I have no vested interest.
Okay.
You always wanted the home team to win, but the positive if the home team doesn't win, we get to see David Portnoy probably lose his shit because I think he's got a lot of money on the line.
He does. And he is an insufferable word that I will not say on your show because I do not want to donate to the swear jar.
See, I love and hate Portnoy at times. Like, I loved when he did the pizza stuff. I love that he does the pizza reviews because he's helping out these pizza shops. He does do some good work. He does raise money for charities, and his dog, he has a couple dogs that he owns. So there's parts of me that really like him. Parts of me, I'm just like, I hate him. But I especially like to see him lose though, because he's a rich guy and I
Yep.
want to see him lose some money. I like to see him lose his shit when he.
Yeah, he can be a little insufferable. So everybody, I don't have TikTok. I think that's where he primarily posts. I don't know, but I'm sure he'll have a lot of videos throughout the game. I listened to a lot of sports radio. He's been on a couple of shows this week, getting interviewed and doing his little press tour. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see. But no, just I love you. You know that. I don't need to tell you that. Keep doing what you're doing, and we can talk offline, but yeah, I'm sorry I missed you the other day. I totally flaked, but I'm glad if it worked out for you. There's no pressure
Yeah,
that way.
I
And
was a lot of stress on that one with the
oh
dog
good,
sitting.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we can talk, but yeah, I just figured since you threw it out there, I'd pop up and say hello, and now I will stop talking so that you can get on with your evening and go make your dinner, your bologna sandwiches or whatever you're having.
Cliff Bar.
There you go.
I
All
got a
right.
chicken pot pie actually. I ate half of it. We'll finish it up after.
Oh yeah. All right. Make sure to feed Charlie too.
He already got fed. He got
Oh
fed
good,
early.
okay.
His mama took care of him tonight early. I make him wait. She fed him
Ah.
before the time. I don't know.
Moms always spoil their kids. You know that.
I
Come
think
on
she was
now.
just sick of him crying. He cries. He's a little baby. He's
Oh,
gotten such a softy. He used to be such a little vicious man. Now he's so soft and just whines.
he runs that household. Don't
He
lie.
does. He knows what he's doing. Little
Yeah.
shakedown artist. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh,
Have a great
you're
rest of your night.
welcome. Yes, you
Thank you
too.
for
I'll talk to you
monitoring for
later.
us too.
Oh, you're
Yes.
welcome. All right, I'll talk to you. Bye, guys.
Bye now. All right, this is Mike Crawford, Young Jerks. I guess I'm going to check out. If anyone else wants to call in, this is your opportunity before we go. I believe it. Let me make sure. Is it pinned to the chat? I don't want to promise something. Yeah, it's pinned in the chat. You don't have to show your face. You can just make a comment. But I'm only going to be here like another minute or so. Here's a question. Your best recommendation for a stinky dog breath toy breed? Oh, first thing I'd ask you is how old is the dog? And how stinky is it? Like, and what does your vet say? With Charlie, he had the similar situation. We took him in for a teeth cleaning. It is expensive, but for an older dog, especially if you know they have a few years left, you might want to sedate and do a teeth cleaning. A lot of times that will include having some teeth taken out. When we did that with Charlie, his breath got a lot better, and he's much happier. We also use these dental treats. I don't know if you use those. You can use greenies. You got to be careful because sometimes those can cause choking. So you got to make sure you watch your dog when you give those. But there are some certain things like that you can give them. Um, Even glucosamine could help the teeth a little bit, I believe. But the powders, but definitely some of those like dental treats. But the big thing is if it's really bad, I would suggest, if you can afford it, to get that sedation, get the dog some dental treatment from the vet themselves. It can be expensive. And when I mean by expensive, like believe like between 5,000 to maybe a couple thousand, or 500 to maybe a couple $1,000, depending on your vet and what they need to do. But if you really love your dog, it can make a big difference. Because I got to tell you, I was dog sitting for a dog at one point who lived a lot of years. This dog, they really love the dog. He's a smaller dog like yours. And he lived a long time. I believe like almost 20 years. And the last few years for that dog were hell because of his teeth. And it got so bad that he'd be in pain. And it would really bother the dog. And the smell was really bad. And it got to a point where they could, if it gets too bad, the vets can't do anything at a certain point. So I would ask the vet. I would have the vet check it out. That would be my advice. Shannon said the web sleuths are probably going to read all those documents and they will find their dirt. I believe so. And that's the thing about like what Brian's doing, a lot of other people are doing, is you going through the documents one by one. Shannon also says, my daughter is in a personal finance class in high school. Every high school should offer it. Every high school. And I'm going to probably do a stock show pretty soon. Yeah, and it's good for their long-term health too. If you do the teeth cleanings, it does help them live. They'll live a longer life too. Yeah, that's the thing. Got to be careful with the greenies and the dental treats with some dogs. You don't want them to choke. If the dog's only 2 years old, yeah, I would definitely maybe get some of those dental treats and maybe check with your vet. Make sure there's something else not going on too. But that could be when it starts. Dogs, they do get doesn't take long. Charlie should have his dent. If Charlie had his way, he'd be having dinner at breakfast. You know what I mean, Sam? He would never stop eating. Charlie loves his food. Especially we got the high-end farmer's dog food. Ever since we got the farmer's dog, Charlie used to be a picky eater when it was just dry food. Once we got the farmer's dog, he gulps that food down. He loves it. And then we add the dental treat after. Give him a half a dental treat after his meal. He just has a routine. He's so into eating now. He wasn't always that way. Shannon's also said she feels hopeless and trying to help change the world. That's a big thing right now. A lot of us feel that way because there's so much going on, whether it's locally or nationally or internationally. But we just got to do what we can. And I think helping us by watching the show and sharing it and being part of the chat, I think that's helpful. I'm thankful for you, Shannon, for being here. Oh, you want to see the stock show? Yeah, we'll do a stock show soon. All right. I think we've covered everything. I think we gave enough time for people if anyone want to call in. I want to thank everyone for watching. I will see you soon. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Make sure you're here. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. We got a retired family court judge in Massachusetts. She's a big-time child advocate. She wrote a book on Harmony Montgomery, a child that was let down by the system here in Massachusetts. And she's going to be here live tomorrow night, 6 p.m., answering your questions. Looking forward to it. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m., Young Jerks, be here. Friday night. I'll see you all then. Have a great night, everyone. Peace. Thank you. I love you. Nice to be back. I'll see you tomorrow.